Press Start Podcast.
And welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin'. This is episode number 135. And this week I'm welcoming back my co host, Roger, aka Lunatic Oblivion.
Oh, you almost let it slip there, bud.
Yeah. What's going
How
on,
are
my
you?
friend? Living the dream is what I've been saying all week, just because,
Mhm.
trying to get through the week. And here we are at the beginning of the new week. But yeah,
Yeah,
man,
no.
just been playing games and having fun with my daughter. And we had a nice little game night last night with some friends came over with their kids. It was a
Mhm.
good time. What about you, man?
There you go. Just chilling, waiting for the big weekend, which will be nice.
Yeah, which one's the big weekend for you?
Well, next week I'm off for the 4th, then I'll probably most likely we'll have a half day on the 3rd.
Okay,
So, and then I might just take off for the 5th and just
why not,
make it a
right?
long week. Yeah, like
Why not?
make it easy.
It makes sense there. But I'm sure you'll probably be getting some game time in there. But let's talk about your game time over the last like week or so. Um, what's one game that you would like to highlight here on your list? So some of these I have not really heard of much, but we'll see which one you want to talk
All
about.
right. Well, I'll just talk about the new one that I went out of my way to purchase, which was Space Haven. So I saw that somebody had it on their list on Steam, and I was like, it's on sale. The summer sale's on. I'll grab it. So I grabbed Space Haven, and honestly, it's a really cool game. It's essentially just a sim game where you're building, like, trying to survive in the vastness of space in a self-sustaining spaceship. And so you just go from place to place trying to keep your spaceship from completely getting obliterated. And you have to just sustain them just like you would in any other sim game, like simulation game. Pretty cool. It's an early access. Other than that, been playing Final Fantasy VII 2, which has been awesome. I just can't get enough of it. Every time I play it, like, I'm like, man, why did I stop playing this? And I just like forget about it for a few days. Then I come back, I'm like, man, this is so good.
Right, right. Yeah, so I don't really have that big of a list this week. Really
I
just
noticed.
not really much going on. I kind of just like been chilling out since I've been in the like I've been beating a ton of games lately.
Hmm.
And one of the games I actually did beat over the last week was Paw Patrol Mighty Pup Save Adventure Bay. Finally got through that with my daughter, and man, that was a great time. Finally being able to play a game from start to finish with her. This is also a game that I have 100%ed. I got all the achievements in the game. So I only have ever done that like say 5 times maybe out of the hundreds of games that I played. So it's pretty funny to add this one to my list here. But I mean,
Hmm.
the game wasn't all that. I think I gave it a 6 out of 10. It wasn't that great, like in any sense. It was just fun because I was playing with my daughter, and it's something that she loves, which is Paw Patrol. So, on to
Hmm.
the next one because I think the Paw Patrol World or some shit like that is the next game that me and her can play. But we'll see if I can 100% that one as well. But the other game I want to talk about is X Defiant, just because it's a game I've been hopping on. I've actually been playing with some friends lately too, and it's a
Hmm.
really enjoyable experience once you play with friends as opposed to playing by
By
yourself.
yourself.
This is also another game that I am really close to 100%ing. I am one achievement away, and all I got to do is reach level 50, and I'm almost there. I'm like level 42, I think. So this will be another game I get to add to my list of 100%ing. What the exciting thing is that season one, I put here season two on the list, but it's definitely season one drops tomorrow, and that's exciting because that comes with a new faction, first new map, you get new weapons, new challenges and cosmetics to work towards as well, new battle pass. So really excited
Hmm.
to dive into that because that's gonna be a great time there. But let's talk about Halo Infinite, man. We were playing that today, trying to grind out the battle pass. I got to 19 out of 20. You beat the battle pass. Dom beat the battle pass. Um, I thought it was an actually really enjoyable experience today. Like I feel like we had like maybe one, maybe two bad games, but the rest of them were like fairly fun. Especially that new game mode that we were playing where it was like 2v2v2v2. But what was your thoughts on that game mode and our game session today?
So I gotta say, I'm really enjoying Halo Infinite. Like, every time I jump in, like, I'm having a great time, but the problem I find is just it is sometimes truly cancerous in that game. Like, some people are just, oh, some people sweaty, dude. Like, it is nutty. And then other games you're like, man, this is just easy. And
You are the
it
sweat in
feels
that
like,
game.
it feels like there's skill-based MMR and then there like isn't, and it just there's no in between where it's like, oh, there's MMR this game, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, these guys are similar level to me. Next game, I'm 30-3. What's going on? What changed?
Yeah, it's like night and day difference. But then, and we kept having some rough ass teammates that would get like 3 kills combined with like 40 deaths, and you're like,
How are they in our elo? Like the thing begs to differ. Like if it feels like I'm in a gold lobby, why all of a sudden can no one around me play?
yeah, they just forget how to play. I guess they're like, oh, these guys, I remember playing with them before. I'm not playing, not giving my all at all, you know. But and then just real quick, the other game I wanted to highlight from my list is Valorant, just because been playing it a little bit more on the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
It's a definitely a really unique experience playing on Xbox compared to the PC. I do gotta just keep tweaking my sensitivity, because right now it seems a bit off because it feels really slow in certain instances. But
Mm-hmm.
what I was telling you guys like the last time is like I got to get used to that. Like when you're on a controller versus keyboard and mouse, like obviously keyboard and mouse is way quicker. You could flick, but controller you can only go as fast as what the thumbstick allows. So it's like
Yeah.
making that adjustment again, because making the adjustment from Call of Duty to Valorant was extremely tough. But now going from PC Valorant to console Valorant is like just as difficult. But I mean, in the end, I'm still having fun smoking kids. Like, it just sucks that everyone else in on your team typically sucks, and for some reason, I keep getting paired up with people that are really fucking good, and I'm like, this isn't fun. I can do good. Teammates fucking suck, but we're gonna lose every single time. Nah, I just can't do this over and over. Like, I'm just gonna be beating my head against the wall for 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, that's what Valorant felt like for like even when we were playing on computer. Like it just some days you're like, fuck this game, bro.
Fuck, this game is right. But that's all the games I wanted to highlight on my list. Was there any more before we moved on to the next part of the show?
Honestly, I started Kingdom Come Deliverance today because the sequel's supposed to be out at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
year, and honestly, so far it's definitely a unique experience. Like it kind of reminds me of the idea of the game where you had to like aim your sword and stuff. I forget what the game was a while back, but it was like a side by side fighter game where you had to like aim your weapon and you had to block in different directions in multi directions.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh man, but like if you're not playing with controller with mouse, you have to like hold your mouse up and not move it, and like you're locked onto somebody, so it's like
So it's
I
tough,
just
but yeah, I hear a
it's
lot of
such a
praise
weird.
behind that first
Hmm.
game, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to the second one. Basically, when we last saw the most recent trailer over the Summer Games Fest, like all the podcasts that I were listening to, they were like, this is one of the games that stuck out to them, and they're like, man, this is something that is exciting to look forward to, and hopefully, because like when the first one first came out, it had some issues like most games typically do, but once the update started rolling, it made the game really enjoyable. And then when they announced the second one, they were like, yeah, this is it. Like hopefully they learn
Time
from
to
their
play.
lessons and move on. But yeah, that's pretty dope. But let's talk about two. I just wanted to highlight two games that are coming out over the next week real quick, because one of these I know I'm super excited for. The other one I'm not sure if you are, but it's a game that we've been covering over the past 4 years. It feels like. But the first one is the First Ascent, coming out on the 2nd of July. This is a free to play looter shooter that's coming out from Nexon, and it looks really really cool. It's just the fact that it's a free to play game has me really worried, like how much microtransactions are going to be dumped into this game is going to
Well,
be the
like
issue.
we got to take for a moment. It is a Nexon game, so like Nexon being the owner of Maple Story, and like that game is only kept alive by whales at this point, and like I don't see this not being a game for whales.
Yeah, I mean they're also behind like the finals, which was doing good. Kart Rider Drift was all right, but yeah, Maple Story, like you said. Trying to think of some other ones they got here. Dynasty Warriors M, they were behind. So I mean they've had some good games, but you're just like, not sure how this is gonna turn out. Because I'm trying to think, what is Marvel Rivals developed behind? Isn't it Nexon? No, NetEase. Sorry, another
Yeah,
Chinese company.
I was like, now Nexon has done let's see here. What? Other than Maple Story, I'm trying to think what they've made.
Well, I just listed off a few games that they did.
Hmm.
Like the most recent one has to be like the finals, which is still doing really well. Um,
I guess they were part of Dave the Diver,
yeah.
and
Lawbreakers, you know, Kart Rider Drift was all right.
yeah, like honestly, it has to be Maple Story is kind of their flagship, I would guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm super excited. I've been like watching trailers and stuff for the first Descent because the game's been in like several betas. A lot of people have a lot of gameplay behind it, and it looks really good. Like it could be a
Hmm.
really dope game, and the fact that it's free to play makes it even easier. Like I hop in and I'm like, man, this game's great. I can invest time and money into it. Oh, this game's a piece of shit. Deleted right off the hard drive. It's just gonna be that simple.
Yeah.
But the other one is Zenless Zone Zero. This is a game that we've been covering for many, many years now at this point. Um, it is an upcoming free to play urban fantasy action role playing game developed and published by MiHoYo in mainland China with global publishing from Cognosphere. It's another HoYoverse game, and it's coming out for PS4, PS5, PC, and then Android and iOS as well. So this is coming across many, many platforms except the Xbox. But is this a game that you would give a go at all?
Probably not. I got enough of an idle game right now, like a phone game
Yeah,
that I play. So it's like one of those things where I'm like, I don't need another one at the moment.
because this was like just like I'm trying to get some gameplay up. It kind of reminds me of like a JRPG in a way. I got a
Hmm.
trailer up on screen here for anybody that's curious on checking this out. Maybe this is a game that's up Marshmallow's Avenue. I'm not sure if he's even in the chat right now, but I mean, when we were covering, I was like, yeah, it looks cool, but nothing I would really want to give it a go. But I know a lot of people are excited for this one just because it's part of the HoYoverse games, and they usually do pretty well. Like, there's a ton of people in this player base, so I know that they're
Hmm.
super excited for this game. All right, man. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the meat of the episode with our industry news because we do just got a couple of topics for you this week. All right, man. Going to kick us off here with an EU versus Apple new lawsuit, I guess, or a continuation of a previous one built on because EU has officially charged Apple with breaching new competition rules, and it's just crazy, man. Like I feel like Apple is just you hit it right on the head. You're like $1 million company or $1 trillion company making breaking laws. Nah, never. But it says they're using their dominant position to stifle competition in the digital markets. Basically, the same thing we covered last time about
Hmm.
Steam using their dominance and dominant position, basically stifling competition, which is true. When you boot up your PC and you're buying video games, you probably 9 out of 10 are going to go through the Steam Marketplace unless it's for some reason not there, and then you got to go through Epic or the Blizzard launcher, and we all know both of them are very terrible. But yeah, this is basically just another one because we all know there is no other store or any kind of place to buy games on the iPhone devices as of yet. They're supposed to be allowing the side loading of different app stores and whatnot in the EU. I'm not sure when exactly that begins, but apparently it should have already happened because they're suing him for not allowing it. So we'll see how this goes. I'm sure this will be an ongoing case that we'll just have to kind of track. But any thoughts on this lawsuit here?
Honestly, I think it's just comes back to when the penalty for breaking a law is just a fine. The laws are only there to stifle poor people. Like Apple's just like, cool, whatever, a fine. Here, let me just open the vault of literal cash. Okay,
There you
all
go.
right, move on.
Yeah.
Like it's mind-boggling to me that we're getting to the point where we can't hold these companies responsible for the shit they do, and it's like
Right, because
it
the
feels
penalty
dystopian.
is 9 out of 10, just a slap on the wrist because of how insignificant money is to these $1 trillion companies. Like it
Hmm.
just yeah, it's
Oh,
definitely tough.
cool, fine, whatever, moving on.
All right, yeah. Speaking about moving on, let's go ahead and move on to the final topic of our industry news here for you.
Yeah, so when we were talking about we were talking recently about Kodakawa, or From Software, and we're excited. You know, From Software just had their next big release for Elden Ring here. We saw the next big DLC come out. Good news, it's doing well. Bad news, they just got hacked though. Their parent company, Kodakawa, just got hit by an attack on June 8th, and they're threatening to release tons, like 1.5 terabyte of confidential data for all of Kodakawa. Pretty crazy stuff here. Like, you know, it's just not just PlayStation that's in trouble here.
Right. Yeah, and some of the stuff that's part of the 1.5 terabyte is like contracts, docu-signed papers, various legal papers, platform user related data such as email, data usage, and links that are open, employee related data, personal information, payments and contracts and emails, business planning, projects related to the data, financial data, and other internal use only papers. So like that's a lot of shit that they're ransoming. Like, hey guys, who highest bidder here for 1.5
Yes, you
terabytes.
lose.
Yeah, so that's rough. Hopefully they can get that figured out and cleaned
You
up,
know, they big took a big L, honestly. The biggest of L's.
right? And honestly, I barely seen this in the news, and it's because of the huge success that their DLC has been having. That shit
Hmm.
doesn't even matter to them right now, and the PR
They're
is
like,
doing a really
cool,
good keeping
whatever.
it off the
We took
radar.
a hit. All right, cool.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is all the industry news we got for you this week, and moving on to the gaming news because we actually don't have that much of that either. But let's go ahead and dive into it. I mean, if anybody wants, we could sit around and just bullshit and dive into rabbit holes if you want to make the episode longer. But let's go ahead and talk about Xbox news because there is some this week. Not really much, but first up is Xbox Gaming has come to Fire TVs and Fire Stick 4K. If you bought it in 2023, the 2023 version, which I do have that, and I have not given it a go, but I do plan to give it a try over the next week, and hopefully can report back on the next episode on and see how it plays out, like how much latency issues there are
Hmm.
and whatnot. Because obviously it'll all be fully streamed, cloud based, and whatnot. So I'll give that a go and report back on that. But on to some exciting news here in regards to a game from Xbox, and that's Starfield, right? Starfield has recently got mod support not only on PC, but now it has it across the board on consoles. They just dropped on Shadow dropped at the summer showcase, but the entire Elder Scrolls universe will be playable on a single planet in Starfield soon via a mod. And I was like, that's actually pretty badass. Like the fact that they're just able to drop it in. Obviously, like we've seen the Star Wars mod, they basically changed the entire game of Starfield, and it just looks like you're in a Star Wars world. And I'm like, this is fucking incredible. Like someone just released a new mod pack that when you when you I don't know what the fuck it's called in Starfield, but when you're traveling from planet to planet and you're in hyperspace, right? They actually have those
Hmm.
hyperspace look like in Star Wars, like the lights go back really fast and it's in that really like bluish
Yeah.
like vortex looking thing. And like they just added that to Starfield. I'm like, this is fucking incredible. Like I really might dive back. Like I haven't beat Starfield yet, and it's on my list to beat it next year. But once I do, this might give me another reason to hop back in and just play the Star Wars version of Starfield and see how it plays and see how much more enjoyable that is. But Roger, you
Hmm.
you excited to maybe check out Elder Scrolls within Starfield?
Not really. No,
No,
like I've got enough of Skyrim between its 37 releases to market.
that's an understatement. Yeah,
I
I
think I'm good.
yeah,
I
I
got
wish Scott
enough.
was here because I know Scott would be like, "Yeah, man, I'm downloading it tonight," or blah blah blah, whatever he would say. But shout out to him. We'll talk to him about it next week or throughout the week. But that's all I got for you guys this week for Xbox related news. What's going on in the PlayStation world, Roger?
Yeah, so for PlayStation this week, we've got just changes to the PS Plus games for July. So we got 3 games that are of no consequence. We've got Borderlands 3, EA NHL 24, and Among Us. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Like,
Hey, they're
what are
free
you doing,
games. You get
Sony?
to download them, and they're yours forever.
Yay,
Eh,
free games. Cool, I guess. Like,
yeah.
it's one of those things where it just feels like we're not really getting anything anymore, or like the value just keeps going down for PlayStation.
Yeah, they definitely
It,
are coming out an anime for Among Us, which we covered when they first announced it, but we'll
hmm
definitely keep covering it as we get more and more details for that. Because they just had that trailer that showcased it, and you're just like, okay, I see how it can work, but let's see how it actually pans out.
let's see if we actually get anything substantive.
Right.
Like,
Because it's such a simple game. Like I don't know how much of a show that you can create out of
mhm.
Among Us, but
Well, like, let's be honest here from the perspective of an anime watcher myself.
mhm.
We just had like Pop Team Epic or Bobo 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 Bo. Like you have these shows that are like of no consequence. There's no actual substantive plot. There's literally a show, the longest running anime I believe in history is Gintama, and that's just thousands of episodes of just nothing of consequence. Like it's literally just a giant show about memes. And I think honestly that's where this is gonna go.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Moving on to some exciting news here. I have not played this game in such a long time, but
Hmm.
Capcom has announced that they are releasing a um, remastered version of the original Dead Rising, and I'm gonna get the trailer here up on screen. And it looks really good. Like a lot of people were pointing out, like this almost doesn't look like a remaster. It almost looks like a remake because of like the they
Hmm.
didn't just do like texture like enhancements or HD. Like they completely swapped out assets, and it almost looks like it's in an entirely new engine as well. Um,
Hmm.
and I have actually never played the original Dead Rising. When I first played Dead Rising was Dead Rising 3 on the Xbox One, and I played Dead Rising 4 a little bit. But it's awesome that this finally returns to the forefront in modern day consoles and be able to give it a go. Did you ever play the original or excited for the remaster of it?
I don't think I actually ever played Dead Rising. I'm thinking about it now and I'm like, I don't think I've ever played it. But
I
I really would like to, like, especially if they have a multiplayer mode, because I know Dead Rising has had the multiplayer modes and they've always been fun. I also like that in Dead Rising, we get like it's a timed game, so like when you're going around doing stuff you only have so long to get shit done before it just doesn't before you run out of time and people just die.
hmm Yeah, I
And
would.
also, like, all the cutscenes are rendered as opposed to like pre-rendered. They're in-game engine rendered, which is fun. So
Mhm.
you can get some really stupid stuff, like instead of a zombie being the correct way on somebody, like we've gotten scenes where zombies are 69ing people and eating out their crotch, and you're like, this is the way I'd like to go, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always enjoyed Dead Rising just because like the you can basically make a weapon out of anything.
Hmm.
And you can combine parts and just make some crazy ass fucking weapons, and that was always fun, and like the massive amount of hordes of zombies that you would always go up against. I think remaking the first one and like pairing it up with the power of these modern consoles could do it justice, and might be a perfect timing. Like zombie games are just kind of on that like we're here. Did we have too many?
They're no
Maybe.
longer the thing anymore.
Right. And maybe this will just be like a fun one and to mix it up a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't cut the
Hmm.
black and then cut the black again when it exits cutscenes. But
Yeah,
Apple
cutting the
loves
black.
being in the news here, guys, this week because they have reported that iOS ports of AAA games are not meeting expectations, and I'm just like,
No.
oh man,
No, no way, dude. That nah,
right?
never.
Yeah, go ahead and take over here for Roger with Valve. What's going on with Valve?
Yeah, so Valve has revealed that since 2018, the amount of players have tripled from 5% to 15% that use controllers on Steam, which is great. You know, Steam has one of the best built-in dedicated controller supports of like anything. Like you can literally hook up any game console controller and it will work. Like any modern controller, that like the Switch Joy-Cons, you know, the PS3, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Xbox One X. Like you can plug in any controller from any modern console and it's like, "Hey, you're using this controller. Let me set up your scheme for you." Like that's awesome to me. Like I think it goes to show that like no matter what you want to play, it they have support for it. And among those people, 59% of them are using Xbox, while only 26 were using PlayStation controllers, and the rest play on Steam Deck, which is actually quite interesting to me that those are the kind of breakdowns we're looking at.
Right. I was definitely surprised to see like the numbers are still majority Xbox, especially with
Mhm.
how much better the PS5 controller is. Um, and it's
You
just
think it's
like
better?
I I I don't I've never used one to give my 100% stance on it, but I do know it has a lot of features that make the controller more of like a next generation controller where like the
Fair enough.
Xbox One to the Xbox Series X controller felt like the exact same controller and they didn't really improve upon it. They just if it
Mhm.
ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? They took that
Yeah.
approach and all they did was add like a share button and that was that. And like I love my Xbox controller.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to use anything else, but I know that Microsoft has sent out emails about would you like to have these features that are on the PS5 controllers with like the haptic triggers and like the tense triggers? Yeah, maybe. It may be fun for like single player games to build that immersion to the next
Mhm.
level. Um, but like for multiplayer, obviously I would turn all of that kind of stuff off. Like you don't want that in a multiplayer game to make your game harder. So yeah. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. But it's crazy that not crazy, I guess, but 15% of all PC gamers are basically using controllers. So like the controller market is on the rise even for PC gamers.
Yeah, no, and it just goes to show what kind of market there is, like, like why it's more important now than ever to have controllers that support disabled use. Like, I think that's such an important thing in the market nowadays, and we can see it that, these people, like 15% of all players using Steam are using controllers at one point or another. Like 15% of all Steam players use a controller.
Right. And obviously like I know a lot of issues with the whole oh if you're using controller there's aim assist and blah blah blah.
Not
And
on
like
Steam.
and I think there's like assistive like it's not exactly the same as like if you were on
Hmm.
console, but like what needs to happen is like in games that support you being able to play with controller or keyboard is like also being able to change whether you want to play with multi inputs or just single input, like restrict the input access. Like so if I'm playing on a controller, I only want to play with people who are also on controller. Or if I don't care, then you just turn the shit off and you just play against whoever you want. I think that's
Hmm.
always the biggest. And some games have it, some games don't, and I think all games are going to need it. But moving on to next company here, Roger, with Ubisoft.
Yeah, Ubisoft CEO has confirmed that there are multiple remakes in the work for the Assassin's Creed franchise, which is pretty cool to see. Like I think Ubisoft needs to remember where they come from because at times they forget that, and I think it shows in some of their modern games. And hopefully with these remakes, maybe we'll get like, a return to sort of their roots that we know and love.
Right. So actually, I have a question for you. Like, out of all of the Assassin's Creeds, let's just say up to Syndicate. So from one up to Syndicate, I know that's a lot of Assassin's Creed games. What is one or two games that you would love to see be remade?
I can't even remember because have they remade anything yet? I can't remember.
None of them have been ever remade.
Brotherhood would probably be the first one that I would choose to remake if we remade one.
Okay.
To me, that was one of my favorite ones. Like that's where I got lost in the sauce and it just was fun. Like I just forgot what I was doing and I just had fun playing a game. Like it was over and I was like, "Oh, it's over." And the next one you just jump right into the next game and you're like, "Wow, it just bleeds well together."
Hmm.
I honestly thought it was just really well done.
Yeah, I've actually not had the opportunity to play that game just yet. I've only ever played one. I started to, and obviously I played Black Flag, I played Unity, I played Syndicate, so everything in between I missed out on. So like, my choices aren't the greatest, but obviously what we kind of already know is that Black Flag is being remade due to leaks,
Hmm.
and I think the first game is also going to be remade, and I think it makes sense to remake the first one because I recently beat the first one like last year I think it was, and
And it is dated.
it's definitely dated. It doesn't feel as good as what the other like the newer Assassin's Creeds do, but like if they just made that into newer technology on the newer consoles, I think that game could be great, and they maybe could capture that audience into Assassin's Creed once again, and like have that traditional feel. And then if one is a success, build two, build 3, kind of how Resident Evil did. Like they remade some of their games, and
They
they're
tried it
they're
once, it worked, and they kept going.
yeah, now look at them. They're basically remaking all of their fucking games. So yeah, I mean that's awesome. We'll definitely see how it goes and see which one is the first to come out, because fuck, they might release 4 before 1 or however they decide to do it. I think release of 4 would be the most sense, especially the fact that
Hmm.
Skull and Bones was built off of Black Flag, and
Yeah.
but missed
Well,
the
it
mark
was, and
altogether.
then it wasn't.
Right. But they like completely missed the mark, so just remake the game and have people enjoy that game, because that game was
Hmm.
overall received really well. I may not have liked it, but I'm only one person out of the many.
Yeah, I like Black Flag. I thought it was a great game.
Yeah. Moving on though to another game that is being remade. This one in the sense of a remaster. Did not see this one coming. This one came out of left field, and actually I'm looking forward to it because I have never played this one either. And this is Star Wars Bounty Hunter. This is the one, basically the game entirely about Boba Fett or Jango
Hmm.
Fett, and it's basically the premise of the story is like Darth Sidious tasked the Count Dooku in finding the best person in the world to basically design the clones after. And as Jango Fett, like you're trying to like work either to become that, or as one of his friends are like, I don't think it's a good idea and stuff like that. I mean, the game still looks a bit outdated, but it looks way better than what the original game looked like. And but it drops in August 2nd, and it could not come out at a better time because what comes out later on that month, Star Wars Outlaws. Like you're building a hype around Star Wars, especially in that the underworld of Star Wars. Like it makes sense, and man, Star Wars could be hitting off really well. Did you ever play the
Would
original?
be. No, I don't think I did.
August 1st, not
Um,
second. But yeah,
yeah, no, I don't think I actually played that.
yeah. Well, it's coming out later this year to basically all platforms as well: PS4, PS5, Xbox, PC. Um, yeah, the whole shebang. It's being developed by Asper, so they've been doing a lot of remakes and remasters of games lately. So hopefully this one turns out to be one of their success stories. But man, that is all we got for everybody this week when it
It
comes
is
to
a
all of our game news.
quiet week.
Yeah, this is like the calm after the storm, because obviously we had all the big showcases, but now everyone's like, shh, we good. We don't
Yeah,
need to do
let's
nothing else
not
right
get
now.
in trouble with the law again. Just
Yeah, let's just let the games talk, let the games release. Obviously we got GamesCon coming up here soon, so that's when we're gonna have a ton more news coming out. I'm sure that's when we're gonna get a lot of release dates for games that have the 2024 window, but don't have a an exact release date yet. But did y'all go over Still Wakes so Deep weeks ago? We did that. I beat that last week. And overall that was a really great experience. I believe I did give it a 9 out of 10 is what I gave it. Um, it was a phenomenal game, and I'm glad it came to Game Pass, because it's one of those games like you don't know if you would have bought it
I don't.
if it didn't come to
Yeah,
Game
like
Pass.
it's a risky purchase, is what it is.
But in the end, like now playing it and I can talk about it. If it wasn't on Game Pass, I would highly recommend buying this game and giving it a go. But yeah, exactly what Phil's saying. Like, it's a walking sim basically. There's occasional puzzles, not really much. The horror is like a really interesting horror. It's more of like a suspense, like, ooh, where are these aliens or monsters at? But they don't like. Some of them can chase you, and like the part of the game, like you're running from the one, but it's not like over the top. It's just, you know, it's
It's
manageable.
just doing its thing, you know.
I told you the last time when we were talking about Still Wakes Deep. It's not Alan Wake 2 scary. Where you can only play that game during the day. You can play this one at night. This one's manageable. If I can do it, you can do it. But yeah.
My man out here, like you can play this game at night.
Yeah, I
Okay.
promise. I promise. Roger, I know you might not be able to. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I don't really get scared much anymore. Like for me, the horror is just like the jump scares that get me nowadays, and I'm just like, "Oh, fuck you, man." Like,
Yeah.
but like I don't like walk through the dark of the house. I'm like, don't even think about that shit anymore. I'm like, I got a kid to worry about. I
Right.
ain't
Yeah.
gonna
Fuck
worry
that
about what's in
shit.
the fucking dark anymore, man. Oh
Oh
shit.
man. All right, guys. Let's thank everyone who did join us today here on Twitch Live, and then anyone who does check us out later on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, or even where you may listen to your podcast at. But Roger, where can the community find you at?
Hey, I'll always be on Discord. You can shoot me a message if you want to talk, but that's where we'll be at.
And of course, everyone can check me out at Twitter as at Mr. Never Chillin _. Threads is Mr. Never Chillin'. Xbox X Never Space Chillin'. If you want a game, party up, hit me up there. And I'm Vic Brubacher on Facebook for any questions, concerns, or if you want to come on the show, slide in my DMs there. And I do stream over on my Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Never Chillin'. And Shoot to Wins Game Club kicks off July 1st with Doom 2016 for its single player game. So I'm going to be diving into that. Never played it. It's perfect time with the new Doom recently announced. Get to play that. Get to play Doom Eternal, and then sets me up for Doom Dark Ages, which does come out next year. So make sure you come out, check it out the stream, drop a follow as well, and we'll check you guys out next week. But until next time, peace.
See ya.
Press Start Podcast.